All right, this is a very full circle moment for me here. I'm at the Griot's Garage headquarters in Plainfield, Indiana. So just outside Indianapolis. We're about 5 minutes from the Indianapolis airport. Nick Griot and Rod Kraft invited me to come out. This is their 20th anniversary of their facility that they built here in Indiana, which is where all of the product gets shipped from. So if you order something from Griot's website, when I order stuff, wholesale from their site, comes out of this facility here. Of course, their main showroom and hub and where they got started is in Tacoma, Washington, but this is their main shipping facility. So I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes. They've given me full access to show you the chemistry lab, to show you how they pack and ship things. It's Saturday, so they won't be operating. They're doing a 20th anniversary, a little get together, a little cars and coffee type thing here today. So I'll capture a little bit of that, but you know me, the thing I'm interested in is the nuts and bolts, the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm going to show you where they blend the product. They make all their own products. I'll show you the chemistry lab. Hopefully I'll get the peek in there. I actually toured it yesterday, and so I'm going to sneak in behind the scenes here today and show you. It's a 100,000 square foot warehouse, which is wild. And it's, I think, 38 feet clear height. So I think they have 5 packing or 5 package or 5 pallet locations high. So I'm going to show you that here today as well. So let's go run through the building and show you what Griot's Garage is all about. Okay, so I have full access. It's Saturday morning, so we're going to get a little real behind the scenes look. So remember, this isn't the retail facility, so they don't really get many visitors here. This is more of a, you'll see, high production, where I wasn't aware that they make 99% of the products. So all these products you see here are all bottled, produced, the chemistry, all of it's done here, which is, other than, I don't think they bottle the aerosols here, but I do believe most of the product they actually, chemically mix and certainly chemically create the stuff here. Also, all the stuff is bottled, shipped all over the country from here. So all our retail sales, all of the wholesale sales, all of that stuff comes out of this facility here. And so this is the entryway. And they have a conference room here on the right. Little office on the right there. This is where they have a person sitting at the front desk. I could see myself doing that someday, or I had somebody sitting at the front desk, but has multiple roles in our entry in our building. So it's odd to say this, but my new facility was 25% of the size of this. So we're coming up. Griot's, again, they started in 1990. So I'm 6 years in, something like that. So I'm feeling pretty good about Obsessed Garage. And again, I view us as peers, so I'm a customer of theirs, have been a customer for many years, and will continue to be a customer. And my vision is to collaborate, not to compete, so we can kind of do this together. And so they have a meeting here, getting everybody together. I'll come back around to here, but that's where all the packaging goes. So let's go see if we can sneak into the chemistry area first, and we'll come back when they're done with their meeting. But down here, you can see these are all the raw materials. So they're bringing in raw material and then mixing and creating their own product from scratch, bottling it, labeling it, packaging it, quality testing it, and shipping it right from here, which, if you're not familiar with the detailing industry, that's pretty rare. There aren't many companies that do it all from scratch. They have their own chemists on staff and do it all in this place, which is really cool. So this section here, I'm kind of going through this backwards, but so their bulk raw material is stored here, and you can see this has a 38 feet clear height, 40 foot overall ceiling height. I think he built this, again, they built this 20 years ago, so in 2004, and they chose Indiana because of its central location, and it was a good place and good price. And so Richard got the money together and built this facility from scratch. They actually didn't occupy the whole building until, I think he said, 2016, and so it might even been later than that. So there's a another 35,000 square foot section. So they were occupying 65% of this, and then took over the rest of the building just say 7 or 8 years ago. And so this area here is pretty interesting. This is where they make their kits for Amazon, for O'Reilly's, for Advance Auto, stuff like that. And then they have, they're doing some quality testing. So this is where they'll stage, quality testing. They have some bottles that they made a different neck on this bottle, and so you can see how it says, it's leaking from the necks and bottoms, so the seam. And so they bottled the product, set it here for a period of time, and they'll test it out to make sure that everything is going to is going to be a go. And then if not, they'll go back to the bottle manufacturer. They don't make the bottles here, but they'll go back to the bottle manufacturer and show what the test results are. It could be the chemical, it could be something that they put in the bottle that's different. And then this one here, they were showing me these all passed, so these are good to go and ready to go out. And so they'll also pull, you can see this says bad, and so then they'll have to figure out how to chemically how to unbottle that product and either rebottle it or dispose of it somehow. But there's a lot that goes into making sure the quality is proper, as well as making sure that the product is stable and functioning. And so the way it goes, so they have their I guess caustic chemicals in these specific fire rated rooms, and then the product comes out of the chemistry or out of the production facility over here to quality, and then this is the chemistry lab over here. Let's see if this is locked. I can't show you a lot of the details because there's a lot of top secret stuff in here, but I just wanted to show you that they have 3 full-time chemists, where hopefully maybe we can talk to her today. Just kind of peek in here. So this is just to show you, this is a legit chemistry lab where they have beakers and test tubes and all the things you would want in a chemical production facility. Again, I'm sure I could, but I don't want to show you the details here. But it's pretty cool, every single product. Right, yesterday they were working on an improvement to the Griot's fast correcting cream, and so they were doing some testing and stuff like that. But this is really, really cool. I wasn't aware that they were this sophisticated, and every single product in here in the Griot's Garage line is theirs and produced by them. So another really interesting thing, I find this stuff fascinating, is they had a name for it. What's it called? Where every single batch, they keep a test lot, and there's a test date. So they'll have a lot. So say ceramic tire dressing, this lot number was 8063. This lot, they have the mix date on there, and they'll keep it for 2 years. So each product they keep for 2 years. Let's say that ceramic speed shine, let's say that they out in the field, the customers are complaining or there was a problem with it. They'll be able to go back to the batch, take it back into the lab that I just showed you, and then test it and find out what the problem is so that it won't happen again. So all of these cabinets are filled with all of the batches of the the product as it's produced. So they produce it in the production facility. They'll take and keep a vial of it so they can go back and retest it if there was ever a problem, and they keep that for 2 years. So here's another thing. This is really fascinating and really cool to me. So this is interior cleaner, which is a product that we love so much, and something about the way that they produce this particular batch, I can't see it, but there was some little floaters or some little extra product in the product, and so this failed, and so they're holding 1,059 bottles, and then they're going to figure out what the deal is, what's wrong with it. And so let's say there was some chunks in there, then they'll decide, well, let's take a bottle, we can maybe strain it, get the chunks out, and then they'll take it back into the lab, retest it, make sure there's no integrity change of the product. If there is, then they'll have to dispose of it and start from scratch. So they are sticklers for quality, which I think is really, really cool. So this is where all the magic happens. So cool to see all the raw materials. These are completed totes, or totes that they'll be bottling. And so this facility is where every single Griot's Garage product is made. And so they're mixing it up, batch processing, mixing it up. And they had, the story is that I think it was a company called General Chemical or something like that, that they had a relationship with for a number of years. And then they were able to hire, their chemists from that company. Richard was able to acquire that some 15, 20 years ago, something like that. And so they actually bought all these machines from that company. And so now this entire facility is theirs. So they are able to mix chemicals right here. They have a really sophisticated deionization system. Maybe I'll try to get somebody to give us a little bit more detailed tour of how this facility works and how they put things together, how they mix a chemical. And then the thing I found really fascinating, the efficiency of this, they really only have 2 main bottling stations. So 2 filling stations, and they'll adjust depending on the chemical. And so they'll sometimes have a different facility bottle some of the really thick stuff. But this is where they're able to bottle, label, package. You can see these bottles on the line here. And so these will fill, this is a 25-ounce bottle. And so they'll manually feed the bottles into the feed tray here. They'll come on the line, they'll fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bottles at a time. And they're able to produce millions and millions of bottles a year of product. This looks like glass cleaner that they'll be bottling, and so they'll do often 2 different lines of 2 different products, and they'll have a production goal each day they'll have to work through. And so it comes down the line here after it's bottled. This is the label machine here. So the label gets applied. Actually, what they do is they screw the tops on manually because of the different types of sprayers they have. And it goes into their machine to put the labels on. And then it comes down to the the final where they grab and box, and then they'll build case quantities here. So this machine, they have 2 of these machines where each line has a case quantity automatic box. So they'll put the product in the box. Yesterday they were making the Best of Show wax. So they were making this yesterday, and so they'll box this up by hand, but then the automated system will then go and put the appropriate barcoding, and will tape the box shut. Really, really cool. It was really cool to see this facility. So they're able to take Best of Show. They'll have a certain production goal they have to hit each day, and then this will feed the inventory I'll show you, in the rest of the facility. And so they have I believe the purchasing and inventory management team is out of Tacoma. They're not here in this facility. It's also really cool to see how they're across the country from each other, and they're able to, produce and make batches of things that are needed for inventory. So this is Best of Show Detailer, and Best of Show Detailer in these totes, and they're able to wash and reuse totes as well. So it looks like maybe next week Best of Show Detailer will be on the production block. So again, they produced it over here, put it in totes, and then they bring it in. And so they probably are going to bottle all this Best of Show spray wax, which is a product I used for many years. This was my very first drying aid. And then it looks like maybe they're staging and getting set up to do Best of Show Detailer next week. But you have all your raw materials. There's mineral oil, micro clear, glycol, all kinds of the individual parts and pieces they need in order to put the recipe together. Let's go around this side. I told you I have full access here. This is so cool. But it's so cool to see. It's such a big, long-term established. Now, Griot's Garage is still a privately held company. Richard Griot is the chairman. Nick Griot is the CEO. Nick's been groomed from birth to run the facility. There's the DI system, pretty sophisticated deionization system for treating the water in order to make the chemicals. Feeds, looks like a big holding tank. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get somebody to explain how this whole thing works. And then they have the flammables, so you can see that solvent. The flammable stuff has to be in these special rooms that they can lock down. Has different fire suppression, sprinkler systems, and so the caustic chemicals by law have to be in a specific area. This, I believe, is a quality testing lab, so I think this is where they bring the product in. This is where the managers of this particular area work. So this has to be a 2-hour firewall. So this part of the facility, it looks like it's probably about, I don't know, what do you think? 20,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet of facility. So 15% of the facility is for the production of the product. So then you can see these case quantities come out here. So here's our production area where they produce the product. Again, quality control was here. The chemistry lab was in this corner, so there's some flow to that. I'll show you the break room is upstairs there for the company. And so then all the bulk storage. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bay heights, all the way up to 38 feet. And so they're able to store lots and lots of product. There's G8 orbitals, so this would come in from their Chinese production facility. There's leather spray, wash buckets, engine cleaner. So all the chemicals are produced by them. And then these are, I think, probably 12 foot rack spacing. And there's ceramic trim restore, JDM squash, so they stinky be gone. And then this is where they stage all the wholesale orders. So this is the area where stuff goes out of the building. This over here was receiving. So just to give you a reference point, because I'm sure it's kind of confusing. So back there was all the chemistry stuff. This was the facility they took over. By the way, they're at 99.8% capacity, they said. I said, screw that, man. I'd stack the aisles filled with stuff. But rack capacity. So the chemicals that they're producing in bulk are stored back here. And all these totes, look at this. A lot of these are empty totes, but the full totes are here in the racking. I call it motion sense lighting as I walk through here. So this is where they would store, bulk totes, cleaned, and you can see where a tote has been cleaned and it's ready to be refilled. They have markers on the side, and all of the sort of a lot more bulk storage is back here. So this is receiving. So when product comes in, it comes in these doors on the right. And then where I just showed you on the opposite side, so I'm going to give you a reference point here. Outgoing goes here, and I'll show you the packaging area. And incoming is here. And then, of course, they funnel into the separate areas of the difference between bulk storage and picking storage. And so this area here is, what's all this stuff here? What is this area?
This area right here is going to have all our scratch and dent items. So
Gosh, okay.
Liquid gets damaged in shipping, you send it back to us, we send you a new one.
Okay.
Some of the empty bottles to hand out to employees.
Gotcha, okay. So that's where this is the stuff that comes back in from receiving, from returns, things like that, or damage from UPS, or I guess they ship FedEx and USPS. So it goes here. You can see like a damaged bucket and shipping, stuff like that. So they do have an area for that. That's cool. And so if an order comes in, so here's some raws coming in, so they stage it here, and then it'll go out into different areas of where where they would need to pull from. So all this stuff here, there's some dusters, there's more orbitals. The orbitals came in the other day when I was here. So a full container came in from China, from their production facility, and then I guess I'm not sure what the bulk storage plans are, how they bring stuff in. You can see this is a shrink wrap machine. I'm gonna have to get one of these someday for the wholesale side of things. Portable water deionizer. It's just a giant playground of all the cool stuff ever. And so there's some bucket lids, tire shine. Here's some totes that need to go to cleaning. And so let's see, I forget what's back here. There's some empty, this is the empty drum area, which gets sent out for recycling. Oh, this over here is all the Amazon area. That's right. So this is where they were palletized and ship things out to Amazon. But just the sheer scale of this, I don't know what the depth of the building is. Probably 300. It's probably like 350 by 300 or something like that. The size of the building. Wow. So cool. So cool to be here. Let alone having access. So here is a good percentage of the labels. So here's that Best of Show wax. So they'll have these giant reams of labels, and they'll quality check all this stuff too. So the receivers will double check. Here's leather 3-in-1. Let's see if we can find something cool here. Here's the car wash labels for the larger gallons, looks like. Yeah. So cool to see all this. Ceramic speed shine. So all the labels are here, and then they have bulk storage up top of more product. I wonder how they manage. They have locations. I wonder how they choose what goes where. A lot of air, a lot of empty bottles, right? A lot of empty buckets. So that's why they need all this room to store all this stuff. As the bottles come in, they need to store it prior to producing. Here's 16-ounce bottles right here. And so this is for, polishes, I believe. So they get these bottles from all over the world, I'm sure. I think most of the bottling is from their suppliers in the U.S. So they didn't occupy this part of the facility. So imagine, shoot, I would dream to have just this 35,000 square feet here. It's freaking awesome. So walking back this way is, again, showing you where the shipping happens. This is the wholesale outgoing on the right here. So this is where, the truck for Advance Auto would back up. Looks like that could be an O'Reilly's or Advance Auto order right here. Of course, they're setting up for Big Cars and Coffee here today. And so here's some purchase orders for big companies that will go out. So that's going to Lexington, Kentucky. And so over here is their actual picking, packing portion of the facility. These doors right here is where everything comes off the conveyors for retail. So they'll have a FedEx trailer and then USPS trailer that they would package or fill up each day. So they stage this and they pick. So their carts, they'll pick 12 orders at a time. And so we're doing 6. So they'll do, and they're not doing batch picking, they're picking by order, which is interesting to see. So if you're thinking about this from a production standpoint, so the pickers are pulling from these 12 aisles. And so they'll start on aisle 1 and they'll work their way up and down. So let's say I went up down aisle 1, aisle 2, and then I'm going to go down aisle 2 and 3, or let's say 3 and 4 here. So the pickers will walk with their carts of their 12 orders, and they'll pick based on location. And so they'll pick orders, one at a time. They'll have feeders that are feeding the product, so they'll bring bulk product down from the top, refeed case quantities on these rollers, these slightly angled rollers, and so they'll walk down this aisle, and then they'll come here and they'll turn. So more bulk storage is from here back, but all of these areas, locations, are where they're actually picking orders. So if you place an order and you had a gallon of ceramic glass cleaner, they would pick it, put it in your bin. Say you were bin number 11 on their 12 bin area, and then they grab some fine leather, Stinky Be Gone, and kind of work their way this way toward the packing area. So as they work down all these aisles, that's interesting. They do an aisle break so they could skip areas if they needed to. But the pickers have to know the product. They know the product extremely well, much like our people do. And so they go through and pick the product. It's ABC type inventory where it's, most purchased to least purchased. So most of the time they won't have to go down to aisle 12. And then after the picker's done, they'll take and drop off a 12 order cart at the packing station. And so they wrap every bottle, and so this thing's pretty cool where it twists so the bottle will roll, and so the bottle gets wrapped, the box gets stickers, they get a catalog, so they have certain things they're putting in the box, and each packer, they run a single shift of packers. I think they'll run them like 8 to 5 or something like that, and you can see they're pulling from various size boxes, which they all know and understand. They'll put the label on the box, and then this is where their sophistication is much greater than ours. They'll scan it. It'll go on the conveyors, which are motorized, and it'll move all the way down the line. And so they have 6 packing stations that they oftentimes will bump up to 12. So they bring in seasonal help around the holidays. And so they're able to process, when they have all 12 packing stations going, a couple thousand orders in a day. And so the products roll down here, down the conveyor, and so these packing stations are really cool. That they have lots of work table space. They don't have height adjustability, but they do have a anti-stress mat that they sit on, and their boxes are really close, so they're able to just kind of turn and grab, and then send the box down the line here, just like so. So an interesting step that I didn't think of, which they say is a lot more efficient, is the packagers don't fill the box. They put all the product in, stand it up, wrap each individual bottle, and then these paper stations, so they have a paper, a box completer, if you will, who stands in this location, and he will then fill the box to make sure there's no voids. And then the box gets taped by this automatic tape machine, so they don't have to tape the top of the box. They do tape the bottom of the box. Then it heads down here, it gets scanned, this is where it gets weighed, and then heads down this location, and then it gets a label put on in an automated fashion, right? So the label gets put on by the zebra printer right here, and then it heads down, it's all motorized, heads down the belt, heads down here, and will go off and get pulled from a manual puller to put on pallets, and then they'll load up either a FedEx trailer or stage it for USPS. And then they have a second manual line here, so the box filler will grab big oblong boxes that can't go through the machines here, and it'll get manually weighed and manually labeled. And that's only a small percentage of the boxes. Like really long, skinny boxes that look a little different will get put on this line. And you can see how they would have their bin locations 1 through 12, and they'll walk around on these carts and fill 12 orders at a time. So a picker will go and pick 12 orders up and down these aisles, and then of course bring it back to the packer. You have some products, some aerosols that have to be stored in these flammable containers. So let's see if they have this locked. So this is a metal detailer, foaming metal detailer. has some flammables in it, and so it has to be stored in these anti-flammable things at the end location. So they only have a few products, HD1, HD2, and HD3. And so they're actually not they're not scanning product as they pick. So they are picking off the invoice, which I thought was pretty interesting. The invoice follows the order, and then the invoice gets pulled from the packer, and then the packer pulls the stickers, the barcode stickers, off of the invoice. Invoice gets checked off, goes in the box, and then heads out the door. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they still find that process to be more efficient, probably because of the sheer number of volume of inventory they have and how they manage that. I'm interested in what's in aisles, these other aisles. So there's spray wax, aisle 11, aisle 13, speed shine. So maybe this is A inventory down here. Interesting. So their pick lines actually may only be aisles 10. I think that's what they'd said. So the pick lines are aisles 1 through 10, which is right in line with their packaging area. Bulk boxes are nearby, close, where they can pull from there. So there's their bulk boxes, and they don't have a lot of boxes. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 15 different box sizes. Interesting to see. So again, this was the chemistry lab, quality control, kit making, production, picking, packing, and then way over that way, bulk storage for the rest of the product. But up here is the break room, which is huge, by the way. So this is access for employees to multiple microwaves. There are, I think they said, roughly 50 employees here in this facility. So this makes me consider I'm going to try to make some comfy areas in our new building and make it cool. So this is huge. This is probably like 3,000 square feet, something like that. Really, really giant area. Thanks, buddy.
How you doing, man?
All right, so just gave you inside access look at the facility. It's freaking cool to be here. I'm making a separate video. I thought I would put it in this one, but I'm making a separate video with Jolie and Nick Griot, and we really dig into the process of how they produce, how they make stuff. So how they make the product, the chemistry behind it, the process of production, and how to get it approved and things like that. So make sure to check out that video. I'll have that up in a couple of days as well. But I hope you enjoyed this inside look. I had no idea. And so now I feel like I really understand the company, and so now hopefully by proxy you understand as well. It's really neat to see the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm super grateful for companies that are willing to spill their guts and show the real, show the authenticity behind all the stuff that goes into what they do. The super organism that a company becomes when you put a bunch of humans together and over the years just improve something every day, and then after a number of years you end up with this really complex thing that I'm sure from their vantage point looks very simple, looks very rudimentary, but from my vantage point, walking in from scratch and seeing all that they've done, you can see it, you can feel it. And it's really cool to get that access and to really see how it's all put together. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to go check out that detailed video if you're into chemistry and how products are produced.